Paulina, it's nice to seeing you again, and thank you for having me here over. Just to tell to our audience, I met Paulina almost 2 months ago, and now I am a member of Paulina's Wellness Sanctuary, and I really like your space.
Thank you.
And that is the reason why I decided to do this kind of chat interview and talk about your space, the beautiful space and energy you created for yourself and for community. So yeah, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your journey into yoga and well-being teaching?
Yes, thank you. Welcome to my little cozy at home studio space. So how did my journey start? My journey started when I was 18 years old and I was received a chronic illness diagnosis. So I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which is a autoimmune chronic condition. As an 18-year-old who was very busy going to work, going to my hobbies, being at home, to then all of a sudden waking up and not being able to get dressed, to do my buttons up, to lift a kettle, to open the keys, like open the doors, the keys. It was a huge change for me. And it's only at that point that I heard from the doctors that, oh, I'm going to have to be on this medication for the rest of my life. And I really can't tell you why I had this thought, but I thought to myself that I can't do that. I can't be on medication for the rest of my life. That can't be the only way.
Especially at this age.
Especially at that age. But I really don't know how I got to that thinking, because at that time, when I look back at my life, I wasn't spiritual, or I wasn't practicing spirituality. I wasn't into health. I wasn't into well-being. I was just kind of like living. Like I didn't have any of these things. And then when I received this diagnosis, all of a sudden something clicked in me and was like, okay, let's Google. What can I do to help myself? So I Googled, and obviously nutrition came up, movement came up, mental health came up. And because I wasn't able to do your normal fitness, gym exercises because my joints were too swollen and painful, yoga was the only one that actually I was feeling good enough to do, that also wasn't harming me but actually was helping me. Because with yoga, that's the difference between yoga and exercise, is with exercise you're always trying to push yourself to do more. With yoga, you're just doing as much as you can in that moment, not even on that day, but just in that moment. And that's what kind of got me into it. And yoga is a practice that kind of pulls you in. So I started with yoga movement, all just for my physical health, physical well-being. And then from there, I discovered meditation because it was part of the class. Discovered pranayama, which is the breathing practices. And then it slowly kind of like hooked me in a little bit more. And I started exploring it a lot more, meditating, doing more yoga, to then eventually moving to a completely different country that we're in now, in Germany, and not knowing the language, the people, not really having a life here. I left my whole life in England and I moved here, and I couldn't find a teacher that could move or help me move my body with the chronic condition that I have, because it's slightly different. There's slightly different ways to help someone like me. So I found myself a few years later just doing my teacher training. Again, I can't tell you why I decided to do it. I wanted to do it for myself because I couldn't find a teacher that would help me. So I decided, okay, I'm going to learn for myself. I never had the intention of teaching, never had the intention of doing all of these things that we're doing now. I just kind of started doing the training. And in order to complete the training, I had to teach classes to get certified and tested.
Yes.
So once I started to do those, I actually discovered I like it. And I discovered I'm pretty okay at it.
Yes, you are. You really are.
And it kind of just was like this driven force. And then I started from there on. And that was in 2020. I started with just teaching yoga classes, and as my own practice and my own looking after myself developed, it kind of sprinkled onto everything else that I was doing as well. So at the time of becoming a yoga teacher, I was also mainly doing the yoga practice as a movement practice. But through the teacher training, when I deepened my knowledge, because it's not just sitting and learning from a book. It is kind of like having your own therapy through learning yoga teacher training. I discovered a lot of things about myself, and I discovered that I like discovering a lot of things about myself. I discovered that up until that age, up until like 21 years old, well, it was a little bit later, it was like 23, I think I had no idea who I was. I was living for other people. I was constantly people pleasing. But it was such a thing inside me that I didn't even know that that's what was happening. I just thought that's how I am and that's how I need to continue. And I very quickly discovered that that's not the way to live. That's not something that is me, and I'm not really living life in the way that I want to, because I couldn't even tell you what I wanted or what I liked or what I didn't like. And then I discovered that I like diving into those topics, so I started sharing a lot more of that myself as well with the communities. Started building our own expert community here in Munich, as well as online through the wellness membership. And this is kind of where we're at now.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
sharing
amazing.
yoga, sharing meditation, sharing well-being practices. Everything that I do for me is what I share in our spaces as well. That's why it progressed from teaching yoga to being more of like a well-being guide and actually supporting people in this whole self-discovery journey as well.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so inspirational as well, because many people sometimes get diagnosed, they feel sad about it, and not many people go and fight and find their actually path, and plus sharing and helping other people. So
yeah, I really can't tell you why or what in me. It just was this, now that I understand spirituality, now that I have my own spiritual practices, I do have this deep sort of trust that this is just how it was meant to be. I was meant to go through that in order to discover this journey, to discover all of these things. And something just took me in this direction, because yes, not everybody that gets a diagnosis discovers this path. And even people without a diagnosis don't discover this path, and some without them do discover this path. So it has not even anything
healthy
to do with that.
Yeah, totally healthy people don't discover path often.
So I don't know what, but it is this, this just pulling. And I think this is something that is so nice for us all to explore when we have this want or this feeling of like, let me dip my toes into that a little bit and see what's there. Just try it, just do it, because it could just take you somewhere. I had no idea. If you asked me 10 years ago, you'd tell me that this is the life I'd be having, I wouldn't believe you. I was the most shyest person, introverted.
You are shy.
I was.
You were shy.
I was shy.
I cannot believe it.
I was introverted. Being in like group settings would make me sweat, and I'd be so nervous. I was a very different person, and I know why. I was just covered by all of this conditionings, by all of these layers, and I was always just behaving in a way that people needed me to behave, not actually in a way that was true to me.
And this is so relevant in today's world, because with all these social medias and friends, and not necessarily too genuine relationships and stuff. So self-discovery is extremely important nowadays. So what a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. What is your teaching philosophy when it comes to yoga or well-being in general?
Oh, wow, I have never been asked that question.
Do you have it? Maybe it's a philosophy of Paulina. Maybe you have your own one. Well, which it sounds like you do.
Well, to be honest, when you asked me that question, the first word that came to my mind was curiosity. I think this is what helped me in my journey about myself, about the world, about people, about my practice. So whether that's a physical or yoga practice or the meditation, self-discovery practice, curiosity. I think just to be open and curious, because when we're open and curious, we're not judging. When we're open and curious, we're not assuming something's going to be a certain way. We're just kind of curious to exploring, to being open to welcoming whatever. So I think that's something exciting for me to explore. But my philosophy, I would say, is just curiosity. When I work with my clients, I'm always very curious about them. So rather than assuming, this is what they're thinking, or this is what they're doing, or this is what they should do, it's just more, let's ask a question. Let's get curious about this together. And I sort of try to give that curiosity to my clients as well. If they are exploring some sort of challenges or not, how can we just get curious about it? How can we check what's underneath that or over that, or what's there?
That's amazing. So it's not necessarily has to be scary or sad or dark thing. It's just curiosity, just a touch, dipping the toe and see where it takes you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's such a good approach.
Yeah, and it's, of course, curiosity, we can apply it very well to challenges and to, let's say, hardships or negative situations, but it's also about those good and positive situations. Something that, let's say, in my philosophy of teaching with curiosity is to also celebrate ourselves, to have fun. The moment we talk about self-discovery or development or healing, I don't know how it's gotten to be such a connotation to it being sad and lonely and difficult and heavy. Like, yeah, we do all of those heavy, difficult things together in community, but we have fun with it. And we're able to have fun with it because we're curious about it. Whatever is challenging, but also whatever is amazingly good. And someone's having an amazing time and we have a one-on-one with my client and actually they're feeling great, they have no challenges. Then like, okay, let's get curious about them. Let's explore them a little bit more. Let's really sit in that joy and that excitement or that gratitude that comes from the positive as well.
Amazing. Yeah, sounds fun. So good. So can you tell us more about a typical day in one of your favorite well-being sessions you organize for your students? What is your favorite session you organize?
My favorite session. Okay, there's going to be two solo answers to this.
Oh, it can be as many as you want.
Because my favorite are most definitely the retreats that we have. They are either weekend long or week long. And the reason why they came to my mind first is because we have so much more time together. And with so much more time together, we're able to dive into many different things. We are able to explore having time by ourselves and time alone to just rest and rejuvenate. We have time to like stay in community in a group and get to know each other and have fun together. And we also have time to like sit and maybe explore something new about ourselves so that we're growing. So we are doing things with intention and we're growing towards bettering ourselves, or not even bettering ourselves, actually. It's more about getting to know ourselves outside of all those conditionings and layers that have been put on us. So retreats, just for the pure fact that there's a mix of everything there. And there's a much longer time, and I love us sitting together in community and practicing all of those different things that we do. So retreats for sure. And then the second part would be kind of like a miniature version of that, which has somehow become something that I tend to do quite a lot, is our self-care circles. Whether they are online or they are in person, they a self-care circle.
They are my favorite. Well, I haven't been to your retreat yet, but yeah, I've been to self-care circle, well, a couple of circles, but they are my favorite as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the self-care circles, because they are kind of like a miniature version of the retreats, because in this 1.5 hour or 2 hour circle, we have these little components. There are components where we are sitting in silence and sort of like exploring our own selves. So there is this self-care for our own being, but there's also a little bit of community aspect. So you get to talk and chat and get to know someone else. And there's also this fun aspect. We have a little dance sometimes. We listen to some music, or we have some fun little moments of journaling or meditating or moving our bodies. So it's kind of like a very, 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 very condensed retreat experience, but in a circle. And yeah, we do them online, and they're literally called self-care circles, or we do them in person, and they're called soul circles or our cacao circles. They kind of all combine all of these different practices and aspects that I'm able to share, that we get to do together.
I have another question which is related to this. I wanted to ask you, how come you keep your community? What is that magic ingredient you have to have your community so open and genuine and trusting, and all these beautiful women you have around you, and how do you get to keep them? How do you do it?
Get a magic potion when you join, so that prevents you from leaving. No. How? I guess I'm very open about everything myself, and so when people get to know me or meet me, if they vibe with me, if they kind of like what I'm presenting or talking about, very likely it is that they'll also get along very well with the other community members, because we're all kind of seeking the same things. I tend
similar energy.
Yeah, similar energy, similar intentions, that everybody that's there has the intention to grow. They have the intention to have fun. They want to make open connections, and they are me and we all are sick of these superficial connections. This is why in our community circles, which are like the self-care circle, there's just a little bit more community aspect of like talking with one another. This is why in those circles, and even now, there's some students that I know for like 3 years that have been coming regularly to all of our sessions. I still don't know what they do for work. I still don't know where they work, what they do, because that's not important.
Yes.
We get so attached to the work that we're doing, or to the tasks that we have, or the company that we work for, the title that we have, that we associate ourselves with that being us. But it's not, it's our job. That's our work job.
Yes.
But who are you?
That is how it's supposed to be, isn't it?
And we're all kind of sick of these superficial going to expat meetings. We're like, hey, my name is, I work for this. I come from there. This is the language I speak. Like, we don't do any of that in our circles.
All over and over and over.
Continuously the same story, like on autopilot repeat every time we meet people. Or that was my experience every time I went to...
Actually, yes, I remember when I came first to your space, first or second or whatever, I've never been asked, what do you do? Mm-hmm. I've been asked how I feel. Yeah. And now that you say that, yes, absolutely. And that is amazing. And that is probably what makes people feel comfortable, because they get to be themselves.
We get to explore being ourselves. And I think like people listening, they might hear this and be like, oh, that's really uncomfortable because I'd never done that before. And yeah, that's true. It is uncomfortable. It's not the easiest thing to do.
Yes,
but
it's not.
The first 10 minutes of being in a space like that, you'll start to feel comfortable immediately.
That's why I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I was nervous. But after, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes was all good.
Yeah, because everybody there is adding in this comfortable
Yes.
energy, this open energy. And you can really feel that. It's difficult for us to imagine when we've constantly been covering up ourselves and been just showing the world what we think the world needs to see. So we're so used to that we don't really know
Labels, ticks.
and ticks,
Yeah.
and we don't really know how the opposite side could feel. But then the moment you enter a community that actually doesn't care about those things, and not that they don't care about those things, they want to learn.
There are more important things.
Yeah, they're more important, and they want to learn how to explore those without work being a topic of conversation or countries they come from being a topic of conversation. They want to explore that. And because everybody there wants to explore that, it just naturally creates this curious place where everybody's curious about one another, and it allows us to really get to know each other. Because even though we say we're not judgmental people, the moment you hear what work someone does, you're automatically judging how they are. You think, oh, if that person's a manager, oh, they must be like really good at their job. Someone's a cleaner or a cafe barista, they haven't done so well with their life. Like, it's these automatic things that even if and I openly can say, I don't think those things about those people. But I immediately, when I hear someone's job title, there is some sort of a switch that happens that makes me look at them slightly differently. And we don't do that in our spaces. Yes. It's like, I don't care what work you do, because I care about who you are as a person. And by us collectively coming and being open and curious about those things, it allows us to feel comfortable. Even if it's something that you've never explored before, somehow, I don't know, somehow we're all just able to welcome one another without these conditionings there.
Yes. That is so beautiful. And that is what is needed in our lives, in our today lives. Thank you for that. Oh, what aspects of self-care do you emphasize most in your teaching?
So, in terms of self-care and the practices and what I emphasize on the most, it'll be the practice of checking in with ourselves. So being able to check in with ourselves, figuring out, how am I feeling right now? What's the most present for me right now? Because self-care, in my belief, and in general, self-care is not this bubble bath that we have. It's not the creams that we put on our face. Yes, they are practices of self-care. Yes, I have them in my practices as well. But what I believe self-care truly is to be able to recognize, how can I take care of myself in the most nurturing way, in the most supportive way, in the most nourishing way. So self-care as a check-in, for me, the way that we do it is being able to first, okay, let's take a moment to check in with how my body's feeling. So if I check in with my body and I recognize there's a little bit of stiffness, maybe there's some tightness on my shoulders, then my practice of self-care will be to bring some movement, because that's what my body needs the most in that moment. I'll check in with my mind. Am I feeling a little bit anxious? How are my emotions? Am I excited? Am I nervous about something? Being able to just check in with, okay, what's present there? What's present with my soul? And it's through that check-in that we're then able to together learn, because it's not something you wake up one day and like, oh yeah, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I need. It's all a trial and error into figuring out what am I feeling? That's one step, like actually being able to differentiate like all of those different states of ourselves. And then the second aspect is learning, okay, if that's what I'm feeling, what do I need to take care of myself the most? And we do that through learning that together. We do it through a self check-in. We do it through sharing our check-ins and a little bit of a trial and error. So if you recognize, okay, this is how my body's feeling. Let's say I felt that my body was feeling a little bit stiff. So I recognize that. And then, okay, I'm going to do a little bit of movement. And I will do a very fast practice so that I can get my heart rate up. And then afterwards, I recognize, actually, I'm still feeling heavy in my body. That wasn't what I needed. So next time I know if that's what I'm feeling, I'm going to do something else because that wasn't helpful for me in that moment. So self-care for me and in our practices, the thing that I emphasize the most is check-in. when we're able to check in with ourselves, when we're able to learn how to check in with ourselves, we're then able to actually take care, self-care. How can we care about ourselves if we don't know what we need? And this is something we learn on how to do together.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. And how do you support students in their journeys of self-care? Are they there just to follow your teaching, or do you provide extra help with self-care and personal growth?
So it's a little bit of a mix. It very much depends on what that person needs. Sometimes we're at a stage in our life where we maybe don't feel so comfortable to share, to speak, to open up into a group. And there's never any pressure even to do that. Even if you come to a group circle, you never have to speak. Sometimes you can just say pass along and it'll go to the other person. There's never the expectation of you actually speaking and sharing if you don't want to. But there is a little bit of everything for everybody. So if someone feels more comfortable currently to just take their own time with a recording or just by attending a live session, but really just sort of being there in the background and following along the teachings or the practices, then that's there for them. All the recordings are there. All the options of just sitting with your camera off, listening, not sharing, not speaking, always there for you as well. And then there are also people who maybe want a little bit more support. So they come to the group settings and they want to share their experiences. They want to share the things going on in their life that they can then seek some support of, either from me or from the group. And sometimes actually, and very often, this is one of the most helpful ways to get support for ourselves, is just to say it, but nobody actually gives us feedback. Nobody actually gives us solutions. Sometimes that is the most healing thing for ourselves, just to kind of vent it out, say it out in a loving setting, knowing and setting that sort of rule or boundary or expectation that we don't want help. We don't want ideas. We kind of know what to do. We just gotta blub it out and say it out. So there's that option for everybody as well. And then there are also people who want to take their self-care a lot more seriously, like we take our house responsibilities seriously, like we take our work responsibilities, friends, family, the things that we kind of have to do in our life. We put them in our calendar. We brush our teeth in the morning, we go to work, we do those things, we see our friends, we put them in our calendar. They're serious, they're important to us. And there are people who really want to stop living life for other people, who are maybe at a point where they don't have time to take care of themselves, but they recognize they need it a lot. And for those sort of people, I work one-on-one with them, where we're able to take time really diving into how I can best support them. And for some people, that looks like talking, exchanging ideas, brainstorming. Very often that involves just really little changes in their life that they might not realize will make a huge impact. And just by starting doing these little daily things really impacts everything else in their life as well. With some others, I help them more directly on their yoga practice or meditation practice or a specific part of their life. I have a client who is wanting to go into actually potentially learning meditation as a teacher herself. So that is an aspect of our sessions that we can also be looking into together. So it's a very broad and very personalized, depending on what that person needs and wants. So how do I support my clients? Just with whatever ways they need it to be, either through a recording, they sit back, watch it at their own time, or we connect one-on-one on a group setting, and I'm able to really give my expertise through my studies, as well as my expertise just through life. Everything I share, everything I recommend, every practice that we do together is something that I've done for myself already. It's not something that just like taken out of the blue or taken out of the book that I haven't even implemented or done. It's always a practice I have tried, tested, and experienced the benefits of myself, and that's what I'm able to then give into our setting, and this is how I support my clients.
That's amazing. That's really good, because sometimes I think people maybe when you talk about the community and things like that, people can think, that you maybe have something very wide open for everyone, and like collective, okay, we're gonna do this and this today, and everyone keeps to themselves. So it's amazing that you can personalize if people need that so much, that even working one-to-one with people, that's great.
Yeah.
And what is the most rewarding aspect of being a yoga teacher and well-being guide?
Most rewarding is probably sitting with my clients and them recognizing the changes that they've implemented, and it always comes at this little slow down moment where they realize, actually, I've been doing a lot for myself and I've been taking care of myself. And yes, this thing is going on in my life, or this thing is upcoming, but I kind of know what to do now. I kind of know how to take care of it. That's the most rewarding aspect for me, because I focus on building resilience, right? People pleasers, high stress, high responsibility, high achieving women that kind of are the people in our communities. It's through building resilience to stress, building intelligence in our emotions. It's those things that we neglected in ourselves before, that we didn't take care of, that we didn't learn about before. And when very slowly we learn about those things and we really implement them and we feel that resilience, that's the most rewarding. Kind of counterintuitive, but I don't want my students to always need me. I want them to be able to experience life and feel strong and courageous, and me being a place where they sort of add a little bit of extra, where they take care of themselves to integrate those practices more, but not as a way that doesn't actually impact their life. So the most rewarding is hearing from my students being like, actually, I kind of know what to do now. And I'm so glad, or I recognize these things, and they're kind of able to progress further and celebrate themselves. Through recognizing their own resilience.
That's great. And do you have any memorable success stories to share?
Yeah, gosh, there's many, many that comes from many different practices. But maybe the one that's the most present for me right now is I work with a client, and we've been working together in our in-person community here through yoga classes, women's circles. So she's attended our movement classes, our women's circles. She's then, when the wellness membership opened up, she's joined our wellness membership, and now we've also been working one-on-one together. So she tried out all of those different practices and all of those different sessions that we've been having. And this is someone who is really good at their job. She's really good at her job. She's very motivated to get promotions, to improve at her workplace. She likes to keep her house tidy. She likes to have a good relationship with her partner. And it's someone who's they've got their life together. They want to continue having their life together. But they recognized how at work they get a little bit self-conscious, or they question their confidence, they question their capabilities. And just recently, she came to me and she said, I've been able, in this meeting that we've just had at work with this new team for this new project that they're working on, I was able to come in there and introduce myself as an introvert that needs time for herself, that doesn't like to be interrupted, that she mentioned to them, she's like, if I'm silent, it's not because I have nothing to say. I'm just processing, and I will come back to you with my feedback, maybe towards the end of the meeting. And that is such a huge achievement for her, because she wasn't able to do that before. Before, she would just sit there and she'd feel like she has to be a loud person in the room in order to succeed, that she needs to always sort of be on top of everything at work, because that's maybe what society tells us that we need to be. But that's not her at all. So she was constantly drained. And because she was drained from trying to be someone she's really not at work, it impacted how she'd feel at home, because every little disorganized thing would start to annoy her. And then her partner not doing the things that maybe impact the organization of their house and cleanliness of their house would also make her feel more annoyed or nervous or anxious, and that would then impact on their relationship, just because everything sort of stems from each other. And to come to a place where she's able to stand so strong in herself, so confident in herself, to recognize this is who I am. And actually, there's so much benefit in the way that I am, because I don't have to be the loudest person in the room. I'm able to be quieter and then come with my ideas that get listened to, and people recognize that she's received many promotions, so she knows what she's doing. It's just about staying true to herself as she's doing those things as well, and implementing that at her workplace, implementing that at her home, implementing that with her friends. So I would say that was like quite a big success moment recently, to hear her express that she's confident in who she is, and not just that, but she's able to express it to people who, we spend a lot of time at work, so it's important that we are able to have those open communications and being really ourselves in those environments as well. And not only that, then people after the meeting came to her and they told her like, oh wow, so refreshing to hear that, because they're that way as well. So not only she was able to work on herself and make herself feel better by standing and being her true self, she's influenced or impacted other people. Inspired, exactly. Yeah. Inspired other people to be like, hey, I'm in this workplace, and this woman who really knows what she's talking about is open about being an extrovert and being a bit quieter. I can be that way too, because that's who I am, so I don't have to force myself to be a certain way here. And that is a huge highlight for me.
That's a beautiful transformational story. Yeah.
It's a huge highlight. It just shows us how, even if your intention isn't to change the world, that's not me. That's probably not a healthy intention to have, to take care of ourselves or to better ourselves, or maybe not even to better, but to like come closer to our true selves. But it does impact everybody else.
Yeah.
Our friends, our family, our work colleagues.
Absolutely.
And we just, by coming closer to who we truly are, the environment around us becomes that way too. So then our life just becomes happy and joyful and easy, because we focus on ourselves and we've attracted and created exactly those situations to be present in our life and those people to be present in our life.
So what sets your yoga classes, self-care guidance, well-being guidance, apart from others? Do you offer any unique programs, services, or unique experiences? Well, everything what you said sounds pretty unique to me, but do you have anything else to add to it?
Something that I can share about that is what I hear from everybody, part of those spaces, part of those practices, is the biggest factor of community. My own experience, their own experiences very often are, I come to a yoga class, I say hi, I do my practice, I say bye, and I leave. Sometimes, unfortunately, I've had many experiences where I can't even say hi or bye to the teacher properly, because they're already gone right after they say goodbye to the class. Yes. And that's not something that I'm about at all. The biggest value of everything that I do, at the core of it all, is community, is to build connection. And we do that by adding those aspects into our spaces. After yoga, we have tea. After certain women's circles in person, we have some shared lunch together. In our Wellness Sanctuary membership, we connect through Facebook, through chat, through communication between one another. And this is something that everybody that's part of those spaces says that it really makes our spaces so unique, is that it's not just about them. It's not just about sitting in silence and crying. Actually, I can build pretty amazing relationships and friendships through our community. I mean, in our community, there are people who came to the space, and one of them got married last year, and literally one of the closest friends that she invited to her wedding was me and a couple of others from our community.
Wow, how
So
amazing
to
is
be
that?
able to make such close connections through our space with people that they hang out with after our classes, before our classes, they go to gatherings and events. And that's what I love the most, bringing people together, because we're not meant to be alone people. We're not meant to just be sitting at home by ourselves. We're meant to be connecting with others. We're human beings. We're meant to be like in community and gathering.
And enjoying each other's company.
Exactly. And building those above level relationships where it's not about your work or about the weather. It's about like, how am I? What am I feeling? How is my life? And having fun in all of it as well. So yeah, community, that's a huge aspect of everything that we do.
Yes, definitely. And I felt so much of it being here with you in membership. It is beautiful community.
Thank you.
So the next question is, how do you foster a sense of community and connection among your students, which we already kind of covered, and how big is Paulina's community?
Yeah, okay, so let's touch on how do we cultivate community. I even attended a few workshops on this myself. I believe in always learning, always educating myself, and bettering myself so that I can also translate that information and knowledge to other people. And something that I've done for a long time, and something that I also heard in one of those community, let's say, sessions on how to cultivate community, is to allow people to have connections between one another, one-on-one, but always with someone else. Mm-hmm. So it's not that you just get paired up with one person. That's not a community. That's just your friendship with one person. But if you come to these community circles, online, in person, you'll always kind of see different people. And every time you see different people, you'll be connecting with someone else. Not always. Sometimes you'll connect with someone you've connected with already, obviously. But because you're able to one-on-one create a kind of friendship with that person, it shows you, okay, what are the sort of people in this group? And by us all connecting individually and then together, that's community.
Yeah.
And so connection, having an opportunity, a space where people are able to talk to one another. People are able to create separate group chats and separate events that they go to together. That is not just, hey, come to this class and that's it. Like, you don't have a contact to me, to the others that you've met. We have a group chat especially for that, so that people get to see each other on a group chat and be like, oh, let's message. Let's see if we can meet up for a lunch, for a walk, for a brunch or whatever. This is how we cultivate community. This is how I've always worked on cultivating it, even before I learned on how to cultivate community, because I always approached it with the intention of, what would I need to feel that way? If I come to a group, and that's what I wanted when I first moved here, I wanted to meet people who are into similar things as me. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go to a yoga class. I'll go to a yoga class, and I didn't know anybody's name. Couldn't say my name just randomly. Like, you need a little bit of guidance or a little bit of support from someone to feel like it's the place to get to know somebody.
Just to feel comfortable, to be wanting to say your name as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't get that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do it the opposite way. People come to yoga, before we come onto our mats, let's say hello. How are you? Like, what's your name? Sometimes you'll click with people, sometimes you won't. And sometimes there are also people who come to our spaces who don't want that, who don't want to meet other people, who don't want to cultivate community. And that's also perfectly fine. Like, they come, they're there for themselves as the most key aspect of everything. They're there for themselves. And if being there for themselves means I want to connect with someone else, then there is an option for that. But it's not it's not an obligation that they have to.
Not mandatory.
Yeah, it's not mandatory, no.
Yes.
How many are we?
Yes.
This is a great question. Because how do I calculate that? Right? How am I able to translate that into a number? We've got a community that I support on Instagram. I share so much value on my Instagram. even by not being in my membership or in the in-person spaces, you will benefit from being on my Instagram. I am someone who wants to share value. I don't want to just be another fake person on there that is portraying her life to be so perfect. Like, that's not what it's about. So I guess there's over 3,000 on us there. So there's over 3,000 people on my Instagram space.
That's great.
Then we've got around 1,000 people on my email newsletter that goes out very often. And that keeps on growing as well. And again, I share a lot of value on that. And I give people opportunities to connect, to join spaces. So how many are we? Joining everything together? There's quite
It's quite a big family.
It's kind of a big family. And yeah, like we've mentioned already, it's about choosing what we need.
Yes.
Some people benefit enough from seeing my stories, my emails. Some actually want to connect and get my support and other people's support and the community aspect or the practices aspect of it live a lot more. So they come to the membership, they come to the in-person classes. There is a choice for everybody.
Just as you mentioned before, it's a very individual choice.
Yeah.
Whatever that person chooses to bring it in your space.
Yeah, so we're quite a nice big family, constantly growing. Many people from all around the world, which is exciting because, I don't know, maybe a little selfish, but if I feel like I want to go to Spain, I know someone in Spain that can show me around. If I want to go to England, go back home to my family, but I want to go to a different area, I have someone in a completely different area. I know someone in, actually a community member that's been with us for quite a long time now, for a few years, pretty much since the beginning, is in New Zealand. It's like awesome. We're all so many different places that, yeah, wherever you want to go, there's someone there for you.
How beautiful. How has the yoga and well-being industry changed since you started? What do the future plans hold for Wellness Sanctuary with Paulina? Are there upcoming projects, goals, or events are you excited about?
Ever since I started, there's been a lot of change. But to keep it very simple, the biggest change that I've seen, a positive change that I've seen in this industry of well-being and wellness, is that people are more open to it. I think people are able to open themselves up for it a lot more. Yes, there's a lot of free advice everywhere. There's a lot of questionable advice everywhere, but people are more open to it. They're open to learning, being curious, to developing, to growing. And just a few years ago, maybe originally when I started around 2020, it was still a little bit of a taboo topic to say, hey, I go to therapy. Like, I'd say, hey, I just got my nails done. It's exactly the same, like, hey, I've just been to therapy. Now people are a lot more open for that. They're a lot more welcoming and accepting of that. And how and where are we going forward with that? I'm excited to see. It's always exciting to see all the different trends every year and being careful about those trends, because a lot of those trends are money-making little traps of this industry. Unfortunately, every industry has its ways of like, oh, we're going to bring this trend up so we can make a little bit more money. So let's be also, again, intentional and aware, conscious of those choices that we make and what trends we invite ourselves into.
And do we even need trends for self-care?
We really don't.
That is the biggest question.
We really don't. It's just a way of making things exciting.
Exactly.
A way of inviting maybe people that wouldn't have gone to it before. Projects, plans, future, how I envision our community and our spaces growing, joining things together. I started by teaching 60-minute yoga classes. I did like 5 or 6 classes a week online. Then I did a little bit more in person in various areas of Munich, let's say. And I've slowly gone away from that because my own life, my own practice has also changed. And I am very true to sharing what's true to me. Something isn't true to me anymore, I'm not going to share that anymore. And I am working on combining things together, on really joining people together who are serious about taking care of themselves. Yes, going to a 60-minute yoga class once a month is great. Please do that. There's nothing wrong in that. But there's enough people doing that. I'm here for those that are really taking themselves seriously, who want to take care of themselves seriously, who want to invest in themselves. And that's not a 60-minute class that you come once a month to. That's what are my weekly, daily things that I can be doing for myself to take care of myself. So this is what I'm working on. I'm working on joining these two worlds of in-person and online together and making it a complete no-brainer place where you're able to say like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to join these two together. I want to have a plan, a package, a journey, an experience, a program that allows me to have access to everything. Because why should I choose? Why should I choose, is yoga right now what I need? Or meditation or community? Like I can't have it all.
Check in calendar if they overlap or not. Yes,
it's
absolutely.
So much easier.
Yes.
Like we have so many decisions to make in our life already. We have so many responsibilities. So let's allow self-care to be easy. It doesn't have to be difficult. So you have access to everything. You come into my world, you have access to it all. And then you just choose. Every day, you check in with yourself. This is what I need. That's what I'm going to give to myself. You don't have to search. You don't have to log into 10,000 different places and memberships. You just have everything there. And that's where I see myself going. I see myself joining these things together and really balancing it out that we don't go too much into movement or too much into meditation. It's all about balance because yes, we're in a physical body, so we need movement, but we're also very spiritual beings, so we need to take care of our spirit. Our mind is also there to take care of, so maybe we'll meditate and connect, and we want that human aspect of community. So yeah, this is where we're going. With Paulina is going into the direction of saying, no, I'm not going to just offer 60-minute classes that you attend to once a month, but you're here because you're serious and because you want to stop having these decisions to keep continuously having to make. You just have everything and then you get to choose in the moment without thinking, oh, do I need to go there? You just have it. And that's where we're going.
Yes, that's amazing. This is actually one of the things why I like your space, because since I joined, first of all, I feel so welcomed. I joined your community. I felt welcomed not only from you, but from community members as well. And the vast of offerings you offer is just amazing. And that's exactly what is going on with me. One day I want to do yoga, another day I want to do meditation, another day, I just want to, sit on my sofa and journal for hours. By the way, I learned journaling from you because I didn't know how to do it. Of course I know to write. I know how to write, but still, one of the sessions which I attended, I think it was meditation session online. It helped me a lot because you provided the right questions, which I am using now as well. So your space offers so much. Then obviously you have retreats, and I saw you have retreats in Germany and now in Portugal. It's absolutely amazing. So I think it's especially here in Munich, for people, for expats as well, because I don't know even if you do things in German, but the most events I attended, they were in English.
Everything is in English. My community is mainly an expat community, but there are also Germans within our community that feel like expats.
Okay.
Because maybe they're not from Munich or they're from a different area of Munich, and they don't have a community here from their childhood that is actually open to these things that we're doing, a bit more conscious community, yeah, conscious looking after ourselves. So everything I do is in English, and the people that join are English speakers, mainly expats, or people that feel like expats.
And for me as well, to find the space like that, because I moved to Munich, well, now will be 2 years ago, but I don't know where that time has gone. So when I moved here, I didn't have any friends, so it was quite difficult to blend into new life, and especially when you don't know language. So to find community and plus all the offerings that you have in one space, it's just unbelievable. It's really, really good. So thank you for creating that.
Thank you. I do it because this is what I needed. When I moved here, I didn't know anybody. And like I mentioned, I struggled to find that because so little people offer community in this open way of just accepting whoever and however. And I didn't get that. 7 years ago when I moved here, there wasn't any of this. It was very difficult to find people who are into similar things through those practices that I want to do. And I mean, let's not lie to ourselves. We live busy lives. So also to separate things like, okay, now is a yoga class, now is a social aspect, now is a meditation. Like, these are hard. But if we go to a yoga class and we feel like the community aspect has also filled up our cup just through that session, it's like we're saving time because we're able to get everything in one place. And yeah, I do this because I'm an expat myself, and I didn't feel that way when I got here. I was alone with just my partner in the house and left to create relationships and friendships as an adult. It's really difficult. And I try to make that a little bit easier for us.
Yes, and you are doing very good job. So who do you invite to join with Paulina and why?
I invite every woman that is having a lot of things to do in her life, that has a lot of responsibilities, that's a carer, because people pleasers, we're really good carers. We take care of people very well. People who take care of others, people who are there for everybody else, that are pretty good at what they're doing, and that can be very, very satisfying. But people that struggle to dedicate that same time to themselves, that struggle to juggle all the responsibilities of life, work, family, friendships, social, development, healing, spirituality, that struggle to balance all of this out, but know that they want to. I'm not here to persuade anybody. I'm not here to push you into joining any of our spaces. I'm here for those people that are ready for that are open for that. So if someone is on a journey of self-discovery, on a journey of building those conscious connections and relationships or friendships, that wants to look in within themselves while having fun at the same time, then they're welcome to join. And really, everybody's welcome to join. There's no people that are saying, no, you cannot join. There's also men in our community. So it's not a woman-only place. It's just the sort of people that tend to come to our spaces, probably because I am also a woman myself. But yeah, people that want to, and they're open and want to be more loving and non-judgmental, they're welcome to join our spaces.
Perfect. And how can people get in touch with you or learn more about your offerings? Where would be the best place to go?
The best place to go, definitely on my Instagram. That's probably a place that I am in the most and the most often. And then from there, you can join our WhatsApp community. So then you'll also have my number through there. You can contact me through the group on there too. And that's probably also a nice way for us to stay in touch. So yeah, Instagram would probably be the easiest way. I do have my website as well, which they're happy to join. It's just a little bit more, let's say, official. I'm just a message away. I love to have a chat. I love talking. I love chatting. So I'm really just hey, how are you doing? And that's it. That's all that's needed. Very easy, very straightforward.
Yeah, it is, and that's what I like about you. It's no tension whatsoever. People can be themselves, and just I see that in community, the openness, the generosity, like it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I lived in a few countries before, and to be honest, I've been in few communities, but I haven't experienced what I have experienced in your community. Such an open, non-judgmental space. It's, I think, what people need today, especially if we are expats away from our home. We need a warm place to be.
Wow, that's so kind. Thank you.
Thank you. So, is there anything else you would like to share with our audience about the practice of yoga or well-being, or anything else to add to our conversation, chit-chat?
I think if someone's listening to this, watching this, it kind of is a little sign that they're interested in this topic. And I would just encourage you to try it out. Dip your toes a little bit. Go and practice something. Go and try something out. Reach out to me, reach out to you. Just try. I think if there is something that's kind of guiding you towards that direction, explore it. Yeah. It might not be super easy at first. New things are very rarely comfortable, but they become comfortable because we show up for them more often. So just try it out. Try it out. If it doesn't work, like, what's the worst that can happen? You just stop. You just stop. You don't go anymore. You explore something else. So yeah, I would say anybody listening, watching, just give it a go.
Great. Yeah. I hope you will. Okay, and so thank you so much for sharing your beautiful stories, for sharing your beautiful energy, and really for creating this beautiful space in Munich and online.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much for
Paulina.
having me. It's thanks to you that we're able to grow, expand, and get to know other people. I'm only one. I'm only one. And to have your support and willingness to share about our spaces and our community is really what allows us to grow and continue doing what we're doing.
Thank you so much. And thank you for watching video till the end. If you enjoyed it, please like it and subscribe for more. See you soon.